Question 5 of the evaluation, which is how did you address or attract your audience? Well, we followed the codes and conventions of a rom-com so that the audience that are going in to watch our film will know that it's a rom-com, so that they don't feel confused or lured into watching something that isn't the thing that they expected to watch. We have followed the codes and conventions of a rom-com, which would typically have a narrative consisting of a man and a woman that are after love, but in the process of that they will go through loads of tension because they're gonna have like differences which might sort of override what they're trying to achieve, but then they realize how they feel for each other and this makes them fall in love and have a happy ending. We have followed Todorov and Prop's theory of narrative by including characters in our narrative that have predictable roles. For example, you can tell that Dan is Jesse's best friend just by the way that the sort of friendship that they have over the phone. Well, actually, you might be mistaken at the beginning because you might think that it's Mark that's actually the prince, but it's not, because they no longer have a connection between each other. So that would leave Jessie to be the princess, and her helper, who is Dan, will turn into a prince. So that's the sort of twist we've done to our narrative. We have also used binary oppositions, which is boy versus girl, and this would appeal to our audience. We would release the film around the time that friends and family are likely to come together and go out, which could be possibly maybe Christmas, Valentine's Day, New Year's Day, as it's sort of those eventful times of the year that single women and couples like sort of go out to maybe do some activities together, and that would be the perfect time for a single woman to go and watch our media product and perhaps get some sort of inspiration on like ways of finding love. We gave our product the rating of a 12A, and the reason for that is because most of the other rom-coms that we have researched usually have the age certificate of either like a 12 or 12A or 15, and it's very rare to have a PG unless there's like some teenage actors in there. Another reason why we picked a 12 is because there might be some swearing, alcohol and drug use, and also sex scenes, which is not suitable or appropriate for young viewers, and we do not want them to be exposed to that sort of content from our media product. But it's a 12A, so they can still watch it as long as they've got an adult with them. Moving on, our main target audience is 15 to 25-year-old women. The reason why we specifically picked women was because rom-coms are usually referred to as chick flicks due to the convention of having a female protagonist as being the main person that the story is about, whereas it's very rare to have a lead male protagonist that's not having a relationship with the female one. We have had to think of many possible ways of attracting our target audience and what conventions of rom-coms we should include in our media product in order to maintain the interest of the viewers. The first scene in which the lead protagonist meets her ex and his fiancé may appeal to a small male group because they might relate to that scene or know someone that has experienced it, and this follows the uses and gratification audience model. At this point of the narrative, the audience may feel empathy for Jessie because they can tell that she is lying from the close-up that we use to show her facial expressions, and Mark and Daisy are sort of portrayed in the film to be a lot stronger than Jessie because they're together. Jessie has no one but her best friend Dan, and this is sort of like a binary opposition because it's sort of like good and evil, but like Mark and Daisy, they're not evil, but it's just that the actions that they do in the sequel makes them seem like mean-hearted people. So from this point, the audience may like relate to this scene, and like some people might wonder what it's like to be in a relationship or are in a relationship. The pampering / comfort eating scene, it appeals to young women that sort of use food as an outlet for sadness or disappointment, or just simply to release stress. We can clearly tell that she is comfort eating due to the fact that she is having a girls' night in alone, as most girls' night in consists of more than one person. The pampering scene conveys to the audience that the lead protagonist is feeling upset or insecure about the fact that her ex-boyfriend has moved on quicker than she has, and this is usually what happens in rom-coms. Like, they always have that one ex that's like out there to ruin their future relationships. And another point to make is that comfort eating is a stereotype that is commonly used in women, and we have applied that to our narrative as a comedic feature. We've also discussed how we're going to portray ethnicity and how that would sort of address or attract our audience. First of all, we used a black female protagonist, so this film may appeal to people of ethnic minorities. Well, it would be nice to see something unconventional, as rom-coms usually have a Caucasian lead female protagonist. In our media product, this convention is challenged as we do not have a Caucasian lead female protagonist, and we've also challenged this convention in our dating site advert when we had like people of various ethnic backgrounds, and it addresses to the audience that your ethnicity has nothing to do with your quest for love. And we have also given our actors Caucasian names so that we do not conform with ethnic stereotypes. After some research, I have realized that one of the films that has a lot of black protagonists that are both female and male throughout the film is Screen Gems Think Like a Man, which stars many African American actors, and I think that that film sort of appealed to a more African American communities because racial stereotypes were not portrayed in a negative way. As a stereotype of a black person would be a criminal or a bad person, or yeah, there will be loads of negative ones in terms of media. We have followed props narrative theory so that the audience can unconsciously predict what is going to happen in the narrative, and so that they can relate or aspire or just generally like the characters. We have represented our characters through age, ethnicity, and gender. However, we did use some stereotypes, and we did create atypical stereotypes that represent people in an unpredictable and unique way, helping us fight off negative stereotypes that may arise from our film opening. For our dating website, we used a chavvy voiceover to break the stereotype of chavs not being able to be successful in life, and because they're portrayed as just lazy people that don't do anything for themselves. And the chavvy voice, it also sort of gives humor to the dating site because it's supposed to be like a parody. Another reason why our film product would attract our audience is because they might want to know what type of people you would find on a dating site and how it works, as we are living in a society where online dating is acceptable and widely known. We addressed our audience through the use of the blog, YouTube, and social media websites such as Facebook and Twitter. The reason why we chose this way of marketing was because I found out that 95% of 17-year-olds, which is just about our target market, is because 95% of 17-year-olds use the internet, so therefore the internet would be the perfect spot for me to put my final product on, as they are likely to come across my media product whilst using the internet. And I've also found out that 75% of 17-year-olds use the internet but 81% of them use it for social media. This is good because it means that my audience are likely to use social media outreach as a way of giving feedback back to me. So for example, they could post a status about how they thought the film went, and this would encourage other people to watch my film, and then they would share it and so forth, and the film would just spread to the same age group. So I guess that social media has been a great way to promote my film because loads of people have seen it through that. And the way that I put it on there was through the use of YouTube and Vimeo, as those sites are easy to access and are widely used by young people.